Hey, welcome back. Guitar Dictionary episode 2. We're going to talk about major and minor scales today. Last week we introduced the language of intervals using our scale degrees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So just really quickly, what I want to talk about today is using those with the minor scale, so a different set of intervals, but seeing how we can play two different shapes as the same key or the same scale, making it one bigger shape. Basically, we could be playing any scale shape, but depending on the context of what lies beneath and what we're actually playing over, that will tell us what key we're in. We're going to explore this further, but before we do, we have to go over some basics, which is the major scale and the minor scale. So if you know those, skip ahead to here. If you don't know them, take this section, pause it, play through it a couple of times before you move forward. Make sure you at least understand the shapes, but here we go. So we're going to do C major, 8th fret, starting on the 8th fret of the E string. Here we go. We're also going to do the C minor scale, which is a different set of intervals. Instead of using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we're going to use 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. So we just learned the C major and minor scale, and they are completely different scales. They use a different set of notes. It's not too often that we would switch between C major and minor in a solo. There will be times. It's much more advanced than what we want to cover today. What we're going to do is we're going to find the relative minor. So every major scale has a relative minor scale, which means every minor scale has a relative major scale. So to find the relative minor of a major scale, we're going to use our C major. And what we do, we've got our C major scale here, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. From that C, if we move down 3 frets, so 1, 2, 3, and we play our minor scale, this happens to be our A minor. And our A minor shares the exact same notes as our C major scale. Our C major has C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Our A minor has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. They're in the same order, they just start from a different point. The way this works, Hey there, I'm editing at the moment and I kind of ramble a bit. So I've decided the best way to show you what's actually happening is via some pictures. So here we go. Here's the notes in those two scale shapes relative to the major scale intervals. So hopefully you can see the major scale outlined just there. So you can see your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That shape that we often play. But if we go down 3 frets below, hopefully you can see now that the minor scale is outlined. And with that outline, there's different context of those notes. The root note of that minor scale is the same as the 6 of our major scale. So you can actually play both of these shapes no matter what key you're in. Here they are together. So for example, maybe we're in A minor instead of C major. And here's all the notes relative to A minor. You can see now that our 6 has been turned into our 1. So our root note is the 1. You've got 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. You can hopefully see your minor shape there. And then just above it, we've got our major shape. And then together, you can see how we can combine them. So this is all the notes relative to the minor scale. And this is all the notes relative to the major scale. The only thing that's changing is the context of what each note means. So when it comes to playing over different keys, different scale shapes will actually give you a bit of a different feel, because on the guitar, different licks will lend themselves to certain scale shapes. So I'm going to give you a quick example of me playing over C major within the C major scale shape. Here we go. I often found using the major scale shapes, I didn't love the way my playing sounded as much as when I used the minor scale shapes. So I actually would often use the relative minor over that exact same major chord progression. Here's what we have again. We've got the same chord progression, but I'm going to use the A minor shape instead. Technically, I'm still playing in the key of C major, but I'm just using a different shape. Depending on what your playing style is, you'll probably prefer one of the sounds of these two improvisations. And so I find that when you actually join them together and use the best of both worlds, it actually works really well. So this next one, I've changed the key of the backing track to A minor, but I'm actually going to use both shapes to play over it. Because the key of the song that I'm playing in is in the key of A minor, every note I'm playing is in the key of A minor. So because I was in the key of A minor, hopefully you can see that I was able to use my A minor note, my relative major, C major's notes, and combine them into one shape, which gave me more options as I was kind of exploring through the neck there. So it works more than just A minor and C major. I'm going to jump back over to past Craig and let him take you through. The way this works is if we are playing over something within the key of C major, our A minor is going to use all the same notes as that C major, so we can use that A minor shape to play over the top. Technically, because we're in C major, we're playing a C major scale, even though we're picking notes from a different shape. The same goes for if we're playing over a chord progression in A minor, we can use all the notes from our C major scale. We can pop up into that next scale position. So the way we find it though is from A minor, we go up 3 frets and we play our major scale shape. So these two shapes all kind of fit into one. We can kind of morph between them as we play. I always found I felt like I resonated more with that minor scale shape, and there were more little patterns in there that I could use to sound like how I wanted to sound. So that C major scale that we played there, that could be the sound that you love, but what I prefer, jumping down into the A minor shape over a C major chord progression, and then all of a sudden lots of those licks I know as like a bluesy player or an R&B or rock player, they start to make a little bit more sense with that context. So this goes for more than just this one key. So for example, if I was in the key of, let's say, D major, so the 10th fret, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. We can use the same method to get back to our relative minor of D major. We go down 3 frets, takes us to the 7th fret. We have B minor. You'll find that they share the exact same notes, the B minor scale and the D major scale, just a different context depending on what we're playing over. The reason I use this is rather than seeing these two shapes as separate shapes, I like to put them together so they're the one shape, and you know that if you're in the key of C major, you've got these notes with this context. If you're in the key of A minor, you've got these notes with this context. They're the same notes, it's just they mean different things to the root or to the key. So the way to practice this, it's going to break you out of the habit of being in that one shape. What I want you to do is we're going to start with our A minor, so our E string 5th fret. We're going to play up the A minor scale. We're going to go all the way up to the 10th fret of our E string, and then we're going to play down the C major. And we work it through a loop on the guitar. Here's a quick example. So the other way to play that is we're going to start on our C major scale. On the 8th fret of the E string, we're going to play up the C major and down the A minor. And so now that we've created this kind of circuit for our fingers to go through the notes, we need to find shortcuts from one scale into the other. This is where you've got to be really comfortable with both shapes. And I've always found the best way when I teach this is actually to get my students to play through the middle of the scale themselves. I want you to kind of take that time and really think about how to get through the middle of those shapes. I'll play one and I'll jump up from the A minor shape into this C major shape. I'm going to jump up when I'm on the D string. So you'll see me kind of work my way up through the guitar there. So let's say we did that. And then on the way back, we're going to jump down on the G string. So we'll do the same thing. I'll jump up on the D string. We'll play all the way to the top of the C major scale. And when we go back, we're going to go back on the G string. So we're going to play. And I want you to find your own shortcuts through there. You can go up on any string. You'll definitely hear when you play a wrong note because of these notes are all diatonic. They belong to the same group of modes. So as soon as we hit a wrong note, it will probably sound wrong. So, like I mentioned last lesson, this concept won't change your playing like crazy. It's just the building block to start to understand your fretboard more. I want you to be able to play freely throughout the whole fretboard. So, if that means you can play from your minor shape into your major shape for now, that's perfect. Eventually we'll build up, we'll have 5 shapes, it'll cover your entire fretboard. We'll add them one at a time. That way you can understand your fretboard little bit by little bit. Really do take this practice and play through both of those 2 shapes because you'll find it comes out when you start improvising a little bit more. If you can think of them as one larger shape that you can play over both majors and minors, you're in a good spot. If any of the numbers confuse you with the intervals, with the flat 3s, you can go back to lesson 1 and have a look. There's also links just below to my website, which has just a breakdown of the lesson and just a few little extra tips. And any questions, really do just email me, comment here. I'm going to reply. I want to make sure you can understand what's actually happening on the guitar. Otherwise, have fun practicing and I'll see you soon.